In this video, I'm going to tell you about some dreams I had that indicate flooding during this fall season here in the United States, how that combines with presidential elections that are coming up, presidential debates, and the hurricanes, this is hurricane season. This first came to my attention when researching information about how the United States would be split with the earthquake due to coming to some sort of agreement about separating Israel. Because of what I found, I stopped researching the earthquake because I found some information about a sign that may occur even before that. And while this video pertains to the United States hurricanes, we are all watching for signs before that earthquake. This sign seems to tie in with this fall and the election. I'm going to start with a dream I had. It was part of a write-up that I did called The Disaster, and you can find that on my website. It was a vision coupled with a word and all kinds of good stuff. Transcripts will be posted below so you can research on your own. Now, I live in the Midwest, and I had specifically asked God to show me what natural disaster I should prepare for. The main points of this dream are that I was in an area that a candidate was hoping to get votes. I was walking through the area in at least 3 feet of water. So once I woke up, I felt my family and I should prepare for floods. I felt God answered my request that way with the dream. The fact that there was voting in the dream going on, it kind of went past me because the dream was a year ago in September. But now I can see that could be pointing to election time. So since I live in Indiana, only on rare occasion do we feel effects of any hurricane. Yet I've read and heard, and I know you guys have too, dreams, visions of massive hurricanes coming from the west and east coast as well as the Gulf. These continue to be posted on all kinds of websites. Now, a week ago on August 15th, an article came out from Jerry Bell. He's the lead seasonal hurricane forecaster at NOAA's Climate Prediction Center. And he said, "We've raised the numbers because some conditions now in place are indicative of a more active hurricane season. Not only that, but they've increased the number of major hurricanes this year from 2 to 4. These are major hurricanes." I'm going to post a link to the NOAA website because we can watch these from tropical storms to hurricanes on a 24-hour basis. And I want to show you, this is just one of the signs, of course, of the end. July was hottest month on record for the globe, the whole world. I mean, that's kind of an in-your-face sign as far as I'm concerned. Now, this is the NHA, National Hurricane Center's website for NOAA. And you can see that if you hover over these things in the water, the signs, you can see what they are for. When there's a hole in the center of this red, it looks like, it's not a hurricane yet, but all you have to do is hover and see what's going on. And this is the Atlantic. If you go up to the top and go to the Eastern North Pacific, then you can see what's going on here. And there's another tropical storm K. Okay, so I want you to be aware of these websites and to find them because they're important in days to come. In June this year, Julie Wedby had a word, and she titled it, "Events Escalate with Great Intensity as the Days of Awe Are Being Ushered In." Now on our calendar, the Gregorian date for the Days of Awe are October 2nd through the 12th, and that's what Israel will celebrate. And I don't want to debate about which calendar is correct and what God goes by. I'm just telling you what Julie's word was and what Israel's celebrating. Now, that goes along with a second dream I had in January last year. I was sitting on a porch and my husband was swimming underwater. He was fine. He wasn't drowning or in distress, although in real life he can't swim. I motioned for him to come join me on the porch, and as I waved to him, I noticed the porch was actually a thatched roof and totally submerged in the water as well, although there was no water where I was sitting. Later on, the interpretation came that this may have actually been pointing to the Feast of Booths or Feast of Tabernacles timing, which this year is just after the Days of Awe. It's October 16th through the 23rd, so keep these dates in mind as I go forward. Now I'm going to play a clip for you from a video I found that totally blew me away. You may have seen it when it first came out, but given these upcoming presidential debates, I encourage you to watch this video with me now as I play. I'm going to play 4 to 5 minutes, and believe me, it's fascinating. And when it's over, I'm going to wrap up the video with my thoughts regarding the hurricanes in this fall, especially October, and then another quick short video from John Paul Jackson.
Hurricane Sandy The largest hurricane storm in 100 years is certainly historic and intensely tragic. Indeed, various news headlines have deemed it to be of, quote, biblical proportions, including the senior meteorologist with AccuWeather, as reported in the Wall Street Journal. But is there anything really biblical associated with Sandy? Interestingly, Hurricane Sandy started to form on the very night of the last presidential debate, but more on that in a moment. Hurricane Sandy came ashore in the northeast United States, coinciding with the 21st anniversary of the perfect storm. That record-setting storm, the so-called perfect storm, devastated the New England coast precisely as President George H.W. Bush hosted the Madrid Conference from October 30th to November 1st, 1991. The perfect storm of 1991 subsequently sent 30-foot ocean waves into Bush's Kennebunkport home at the same time that Bush was calling on Israel to give up the West Bank. Practically every time since the Land for Peace conferences, whenever the U.S. planned a major meeting or speech to divide Israel, disaster has resulted. Furthermore, shortly after the United States, under the leadership of President George W. Bush, pressured Israel to give up Gaza on September the 1st, 2005, and while President Bush congratulated Israel for evacuating their own people from biblical lands and called on Israel and Palestinians to move to a two-state plan, Hurricane Katrina strikes the United States with devastating consequences, again coined by the media of, quote, biblical proportions. Missiles have been fired into Israel from Gaza ever since. Additionally, in August of 2012, the Republican Platform Committee voted to add a, quote, two-state position pertaining to Israel for formal convention approval. On the same day, Hurricane Isaac formed as a tropical storm. The convention had to be postponed. Isaac eventually made U.S. landfall and caused many billions of dollars of damage to the U.S. economy. Both of the current major political parties in the United States, Democrats and Republicans, have publicly endorsed two states on Israel's covenant land. This latest storm, Hurricane Sandy, started to form on the night of the last presidential debate, in which Mitt Romney advocated the same goals of the Madrid conference scenario in the debates. Romney even corrected Barack Obama for not pushing harder to accomplish these goals within his first term. Unbelievably, while this presidential debate is happening, and while this conversation about Israel is ensuing between Romney and Obama, another perfect storm is brewing offshore. Of course, we know that the Obama administration has also strongly supported a two-state solution, even calling for Israel to return its borders to the 1967 boundaries, a move that would have ensured the complete demise of modern Israel. And Obama has made every effort to pressure Israel not to attack Iran's nuclear program in self-defense before the U.S. presidential elections. Hurricane Sandy arrived exactly 430 days after Hurricane Irene, which, again, many Bible students believe was a warning of the coming Hurricane Sandy. Don't forget, Israel was also 430 years bound in slavery in Egypt. Perhaps you will remember the circumstances surrounding Hurricane Irene, in that, after much debate, in which the UN issued statements calling for a Palestinian state with UN status and implied that Jerusalem should be divided, the huge Hurricane Irene's threat to New York and the UN headquarters was growing. The UN finally voted to deny UN status to Palestine. Then, for the next 2 days after that, Irene began to look increasingly ominous towards New York. That is, up until the 28th, when projections for the storm began to subside.
Okay, I'm going to stop this there. This was recorded in 2012, which it's ironic because here we are almost 4 years later, and it really may pertain to this year's presidential debates. This gentleman brought several hurricanes to the forefront that happened at the same time as these presidential talks, or even political officials, Republican National Convention, they were all regarding the land of Israel and talking about them. Now, there's a schedule. I found the schedule of, at this time anyway, the presidential debates this year, and I'm going to link that on the website. September 26th in Hempstead, New York, October 9th in St. Louis, Missouri, and October 19th in Las Vegas, Nevada. And it's the latter two debates that are right in the middle of what may be a very harsh hurricane season. If Trump does very well during the first debate, it's possible that the powers that be may try to use HARP or their other facilities to manipulate the weather to disrupt Trump's travels. Please note that I'm not for or against Trump. This is just something I feel that the powers may use to alter potential votes for Trump, as so many see his brash ways as positive and very not politically correct. One more thing I would like to show you is a quick clip from John Paul Jackson, also which I stumbled upon while researching. Now, I wanted to mention that I actually tried to get Seer Vanna to email me so I could give her all this information and she could do this fantastic video, because this is not my gift, you can tell. It's not, it's so important to me. I feel compelled to tell you guys to watch these hurricanes. Okay, now, on the John Paul Jackson clip, he notes that a massive West Coast storm will hit before this splitting earthquake of the United States. In fact, he adamantly states not to worry about the earthquake until the storm hits. I'm going to end the video with John Paul's answer to a question. Please go to the Lord with everything I've stated here. I think we're in for quite an interesting fall season. It coincides with one of the things that Mina Lee Gribben tells us that Jesus said to her on June 27th this year. He said, quote, "Within 3 to 6 months, total chaos will envelop America." Also, this lines up with Matt Smith's prophetic poem for the timing in the fall. Here's two of his stanzas. Matt states, "At the end of the summer, as the season reaches a climax, Jade Helm will come to life again. Surely it will be brought back. The fall season will bring another election year, but by this time our nation will be firmly gripped in fear." Finally, while this video pertains to the United States, you can watch these storms form with me and know that our transformation is even nearer, because we know that just after that California to New York City earthquake that Warrior Princess told us about, our transformation comes. Okay, here's John Paul's information.
There is an earthquake that has been predicted to devastate California, meaning skyscrapers are going to fall. The shape of the United States will change after that earthquake, but that won't happen till after there's a storm. A major storm is going to come to California. It's either a hurricane of incredible force or it is a storm of incredible force. But a great hurricane or incredible force is going to come to California, and the earthquake that destroys it will not happen until after that takes place. So there's a way of saying, okay, I have time, but that doesn't mean there won't be an earthquake tomorrow at 7.5, or next week or 2 weeks from now of some magnitude. But I'm talking the one that changes the shape of California, where you don't want to live in California, anywhere in California when that happens, or perhaps even on most of the West Coast, where an inland ocean is formed, and Baja becomes an island, and the mouth of the inland ocean forms between San Diego and Los Angeles. That isn't going to happen before that storm comes, and so that is a sign that God is giving to the people. Don't worry about that big one, because this sign will happen first.
Woohoo! Keep watching.